Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Ellison Legals in case you missed it for the month of September. And we are now in October, but going over September. So just before I start, as usual, just want to go through just a couple of disclosures. So the first one is that Ellison Legal has limited liability under a scheme approved by the Professional Standards legislation. And the second disclosure I'd like to say is that this webcast is to provide you with general information only, and it's not intended to provide you with any legal advice, and it shouldn't be taken as legal advice. So please contact your legal practitioner to get the legal advice that you're after, so that then that is tailored to your specific situation. So I'm just going to flick now to see what our posts were in September. So we had four posts in September, and they were all about retirement villages. And going through past posts, I don't believe that we have touched on this topic before, but retirement villages are definitely something that we are able to help out with when it comes to the agreement documents. So our first post was about whether you are thinking of entering into a retirement village, or if you know someone who's thinking about going into one. Now, what happens is that when you go around, have a look, and then you think to yourself, yeah, this is something that I might want to go ahead with, the operators will quite often hand over to you the retirement village agreement document. And this document, when you hand that over to a legal practitioner to look over and give you advice, we have a look at that and we see what the terms and conditions are in there, what your rights and obligations are, what the rights and obligations of the operator are. We let you know that, because sometimes what we find is that sometimes people enter into the complexes, they've just signed an agreement, away they go, and then lo and behold, there are things that they weren't actually aware about. So at the very least, if it's not something that you might want to dispute about, at least just know what benefits and features there are. So that's always a good idea. Now, the next post was what are the benefits? And this is what I was mentioning, is to even just go through and let you know what is going on. But one of the great things about being in a retirement village complex is the environment that is around you. So it's not just a place to move into and then just to live. There are so many other features to a retirement village complex. So there's a lot of social activities, and there's a lot of benefits and features, things like, so I mentioned that there's social activities, but there's amenities that are available for your convenience. So things like some places have little hair salons. There's also medical services that are available if you need. And there's also, in retirement village complexes, there's sometimes different ranges, depending where you go, but sometimes there's different ranges of what services are available depending on what you need as well. So there's quite a few features, bringing into it a kind of like a lifestyle that can be quite enjoyable. The third post we spoke about is the different types of arrangements that you can enter into. So the 5 that were mentioned in the post, just looking at that post now, we've mentioned 5. So the first one is a loan license. The second one is a leasehold. The third one is called strata or community scheme. The fourth one is rental, and the fifth one is a company title. Most often what you're going to find is that it is a lease. More often than not, they're going to call it a 99-year lease. A lot of the times I hear people saying, I'm going to buy, and they often think that it's a purchase because the amount that's being invested is pretty much like a purchase. So when you want to think about it, you can think about it in between both purchase and lease, but in legal terms, it's actually a lease. The fourth post was about entering into the contract. Now, probably one of the most important points to note is that when you have a contract given to you, the timing it is given to you needs to be at least 14 days prior to you signing it. So that's the first thing. So they won't accept an agreement that you just sign that same day. 14 days have to pass and then you can sign the agreement. And that's just to ensure that you have had that period of time to get the legal advice so that you can properly consider, is this a document that you want to enter into? Along with the contract, you will also receive what is called a disclosure statement. So basically it's like almost like a summary of the document, but it's sort of outlining specifically what is included in the agreement and what the terms are, what the important points are. And it's actually quite a good document, because then you can look at this document and then just flick through for easy reference if there's any questions, rather than the whole legal document itself. What can also be handed over is, if this is available, a condition report to let you know what the condition it is in, and what is often included, and in fact I haven't not seen it included, if that makes sense. I haven't not seen it, yep. Included are the retirement village rules. So often retirement villages will have their own rules. They need to let you know what those rules are, and that's just something else that you go through. Just think of going into a unit and you've got your bylaws. They're like your rules. So it's something similar to that. So and that was it. So those were the 4 points. So when it comes to retirement villages, the documents can get a little bit overwhelming, especially for those who are not adapt to reading documents with all the legal terms and things like that. So don't get too concerned about it. If you would like us to have a look over the document, you can simply email that over to us, or you can give us a call if you want to have a chat about that. But it's a new chapter, and it should be an exciting time. Unfortunately, sometimes it's not. It's circumstances where it's forced into, but usually that's more aged care than retirement villages. But all of the same rules still apply. But yeah, so that's retirement villages. We wanted to touch on that point in September. So if there's any questions or queries, don't hesitate to give us a yell. Thank you, and we'll see you next month we'll see you in November for October's posts.